Hey, Grandpa. How are you? Doing good?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Grandpa is 89? Whoa. 89 years young.
Almost 100. Just
Almost. Yeah, you're getting close.
Not far from it.
No. We're really excited to have you on and kind of get some of your thoughts on life. When I look at you or when I think of you, I think of somebody who is the epitome of masculinity in a healthy way.
What does that mean?
Means you're a good man.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you and how valuable your legacy is to us. Nick is also here.
Hi, Nick.
Gramps.
Welcome.
Grandma Zehr is also here. Norma Zehr. She's going to be in the background helping us out a little bit here and there. Yeah, as we said, Grandpa, you are approaching 120, right?
Yeah,
that's what.
Heading for it.
Yeah, you said you were going to make it to 120 years old, so you're doing pretty well. I do have a couple of questions, kind of prepared just to see where it goes and see how it goes. If I can find.
What did you have for lunch today, Gramps?
I don't think I had anything.
What? I can't see.
What did I have for lunch? Nothing, did I?
Oh, you're on the intermittent fasting diet. Very nice. No wonder you're so good looking and fit.
Am I good looking and fit?
Sure are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When I'm 89, if I look like you, I'll be all right. I'll be all right with that. All right, we're just gonna fly with this.
Fly.
Fly, not really fly. I mean, like, we can't fly in here. How have you been doing these days, Gramp?
How have I been doing? I've been doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty thankful for everything.
If you can think back, you had a pretty serious fall that took the vision in one of your eyes.
Yeah.
And that was
my left eye is no good.
Your left eye, okay. And you've had some bouts with cancer and some different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on top of all of that, you're grateful.
Amen. I'm thankful.
Yeah.
Blessed.
Is that your mindset? Is that
I
the
guess
Holy
it
Spirit?
is.
What is that?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's got to be the Holy Spirit in me.
If you had one thing that you were most proud of in your life, what are you most proud of?
I'm just proud of my family and all my children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Do you know how many you have?
Is it 38 great-grandchildren?
Is that right? 38 great-grandchildren. Okay.
Is that right? Did I have it?
Look at that. And do you know how many grandchildren you have?
20.
20 on the dot.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously your favorite.
Yes.
Yes.
You are right now.
Gramps, I've heard that as you get older, things in life start to fade away, and all that's left that's important besides the Lord is family. Do you think that that's true? Or has that always been true for you?
Pretty much true to me.
Yeah. Yep. It's pretty apparent that is the case. Yeah.
Do you ever think about the lasting impact of your legacy and how valuable what the hard work that you put in has flown downstream to all the rest of us?
I believe it has done a lot for my whole family.
And what would you attribute that to? What would you say is the driving force behind that?
The baptism of the Holy Spirit is the main thing that's changed my life a lot.
Can you remember when that happened?
1970.
Yes,
Wow.
that would be 54 years ago.
You want to tell us about that part of your testimony at all?
I just thought it all went good.
Yeah, you just saw the good fruit.
Yeah.
When most people are going through life, there's markable changes at certain times where kind of like a light switch turns on for them. You know, and it sounds like the baptism of the Holy Spirit for you was like new life.
Yes, it was a lot of change for me.
Okay, so were you a farmer pretty much your whole life?
Yes, I have been since I retired, or whatever you want to call it.
Do you remember where your farm was?
Oh, yeah.
Where?
Right up here on the Yahtzee Road.
Okay.
Farming is, my dad used to call the farming life the good life.
It is a good life. My whole life I enjoyed being a farmer, dairy farmer.
Okay, so cows.
Well, quite a few, yeah. Must have had around 50, 60 head of cattle. I probably have milked around 45, 50 of them.
Do you remember what you liked so much about farming? What was your favorite thing about farming?
What was my favorite thing about farming?
Yep.
Being a farmer, I guess.
Yep, just
Was
the title.
Was it being home with the children?
Yeah, that was a lot of it. Doing a lot with my children and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, being present in the home is a luxury. Even by today's standards, luxury, you would think like money and assets and things you can own, but really the luxury is quality time spent.
Right. It really is.
Yeah. When you had chores, would you take the kids around with you? And
I did have whatever chance I had somebody with me most all the time.
that's pretty cool. I bet those are memories that they remember forever.
I hope so.
And how many children do you have?
4 children.
Okay.
And then 3 or 4, what do you call it?
In-laws?
In-laws.
Yeah. They all got married and had their own families.
Yeah.
I look at those families, and obviously I'm part of the family, so but I look at the fruit of your intentions with your family and how it has just overflowed to the rest of us. I think that's pretty cool.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to farm life. Let's see. Did you enjoy waking up early?
I must be. I did.
Yeah. Does anybody actually enjoy it? I think people do.
Yeah. The long faces are my cows.
I used to call the cows long faces.
Yeah.
Isn't there a joke about that? About the horse? Why the long face?
Huh?
There's a joke about that. Except for now, I've never heard it with cows. So you love waking up early in the morning and go out and seeing the long faces.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, that's good. It seems like you had a real enjoyment for it. You really loved farming, but also there's something about being a farmer that was special to you. And if I'm not mistaken, did you win Farmer of the Year once?
Yeah, I got to be Farmer of the Year.
Okay. That's a pretty big deal.
What do you know what year that was?
Around the middle 60s.
Yep.
And that plaque, is that plaque still hanging in your garage? Probably.
I think I've seen it in there before. Yeah. Is it still in your garage? It is? Yeah. Okay.
What is that?
Your plaque for Farmer of the Year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I got it right on the door of the, I think.
Yeah, that's where I've seen it.
Never forget that.
Nope. And then you actually owned a campground.
Yeah.
And what was the name of the campground?
Happy Hollow Campground.
Yeah. Was that a lot different experience from what you were used to?
Quite a little bit.
There's just a lot of differences there. A lot more interaction with people. You know, you become a salesman kind of, which you don't really do a lot of that on the farm.
Right. We had around 145 sites.
Really?
For the campground.
That is a lot of maintenance.
Yeah, it was.
You may not remember this, but when you guys had the Happy Hollow, Corwin and I used to help mow lawns. You remember?
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah. And we would mow, and I think our payment was pina colada slushy and a Tony's pizza.
Okay.
Boy, that was worth it to us. That was worth it.
That sounds worth it.
I didn't. I never had no trouble having help doing the mowing.
Yep. It was probably because we were so happy to do it. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
145, was it? 145? 175 sites. That is a lot of work.
Yeah. And there's a lot of upkeep.
Can you tell me about sugaring?
Making maple syrup. Okay, I can tell you a lot about it. I don't know what to say.
You used to own a sugar bush.
I used to, yeah, there's 30 acres of woods was my maple business.
Okay. Do you know how many taps that was?
We had around 150 taps.
Okay. And then that, I remember being up there, man, the memories are flooding back to me. Being up there helping with the tubing and helping
Oh, yeah, that's
clean up in the summertime, in the fall, getting ready for the next year and stacking wood. Those are some good memories.
good. I'm glad it was good memories for you. I hope whoever helped me thought they were good memories too. A lot of grandkids helping me.
Everybody that I know who helped speaks pretty fondly of those days.
Yeah, Brielle says that you would, we bring Oreo cookies and you'd give the kids Oreo cookies or something like that?
Yeah, the vanilla
Yeah,
wafer.
vanilla Oreos.
Yeah, vanilla Oreo
or something
cookies.
like that.
Those used to be in the back behind the evaporator. Remember?
The kids knew where they were.
Right.
I don't remember too much about that, but I did serve cookies.
Yep.
Did you do the sugaring and the farming at the same time?
Yeah, I did.
How many years did you do sugaring for? Do you know? Was it 20 years? Was it 10 years? Do you know? 50 years. You probably got pretty good at it after 50 years, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. And was the sugar bush was where?
It was up on the Yancey Road.
Okay.
Where my farm was right at the beginning of the Yancey Road. And
Okay. Is that West Lowville?
It's like right next to the vineyard.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. So the vineyard's on Yancey Road. So like his farm was at the bottom, right? The vineyard. The vineyard is right there. Yep. So like if you go up to the top of that hill, right on the left, you would have been able to see it. Did they clear that sugar bush out?
no.
It's still sitting
Yes,
there?
it has been cleared out.
Because I remember it had collapsed.
I sold it, and then the Amish bought it, and they decided they didn't really care about making maple syrup. They wanted to have it for land and like that, I would say.
So after you sold the Happy Hollow, you still had the sugar bush? Was it?
After we bought.
Okay, so you had bought the campground, and then you had sold the sugar bush to the Amish,
Right.
and they didn't really have any interest in sugaring. Okay, so there used to be a sugar bush where the vineyard is?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Okay, so there's some Lewis County history for you.
Yeah.
That kept me pretty busy. If I didn't have something to do with sugar, and I wouldn't know what I was doing, I'm sure.
Yeah. Idle hands are not a good thing. You know, you want to be working with your hands all the time. It's good. It's good
I
for
did.
you.
Yeah, I did a lot of work with my hands.
Yeah.
So in the spring and summer, you would have done a little bit of crop farming for your cows, I'm assuming.
Right.
And then in the winter, you kept busy with still cows, but sugaring in the wintertime. Is that
Right. Yeah.
Spring. Yep. So actually, yeah, so that's a good point. So sugaring and farming kind of did intersect a little bit, right?
A lot.
So you were pretty busy in the spring.
Yeah.
In the early spring.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was.
like March. Yeah.
3 months of the year, I was pretty busy in the sugaring part of it.
Yeah. It would be like from like the early spring after the thaw.
Yeah.
preparing for that, and then do you know how many gallons you would usually do?
Or most syrup, I think I was around 500 gallon
500 gallons.
of maple syrup.
And so, is it right that does it take 40 or 60 gallons of sap for a gallon of
I would
syrup?
say more like 50 gallon of sap
Okay, so,
for 1 gallon of syrup.
okay, wow. That's pretty remarkable.
What did a gallon of syrup sell for back in the day? Do you remember?
Well, I remember.
Sounds like you don't forget the numbers. So.
I remember 250 at a little while, and we went way up to $5.
Really?
No way.
Yeah,
A gallon of maple syrup for $2.50.
yeah. And then
That's
it
crazy.
got up to $5.
Yeah, and that was a big deal.
Yeah,
Double your profits.
Do you know what a gallon of syrup costs right now?
I think around $50 now for a gallon of syrup.
What do you think about that?
I think it's
rip-off.
kind of a nice way to earn some money.
You're right. Yeah. He's the businessman comes out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Man, $2.50 a gallon. That's less than gas.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And life has changed a lot since then.
life has changed a lot for sure.
Are there any markable changes that you can think of when you think of like how life has progressed? Like, is there anything that stands out to you as like a big difference between then and now?
Ride a bicycle and get something down at the, where is it? What was it called? The corner.
A quart of ice cream.
Yeah.
What was this name of the store on the corner?
It was a restaurant, actually. It was Foothill Restaurant.
Foothill Restaurant sound right?
Yeah.
So you would get a pint or a quart for your whole family?
Yeah.
Could you imagine your whole family?
How big was your family? I don't remember.
Oh, I only had 6 children.
Well, that's
okay.
not enough ice cream.
That's not enough ice
That's
cream.
not enough
then.
ice cream. I need a quart myself.
Well, we didn't probably eat quite that much no more. I rode on a school bus a lot of the time, but in the summertime, in spring, I used to ride my my little red wagon. I had that, and I used it. Put my feet, one foot in my, and one in pedal to one foot, and the other foot was what I moved myself within the wagon.
Okay, self-propelled with one foot. That sounds like it was mostly a downhill adventure.
Yeah.
Those uphills were probably not so fun. Okay, so it wasn't too far from your country school then.
No.
So that disproves the uphill both ways.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep. We made a joke on the last episode that back in those days, you guys were going uphill both ways to school. 10 feet of snow probably. And I really like, there's something about stripping away a lot of the luxuries that we have and getting back to basics. You know, I don't think a lot of people could relate nowadays to a pint of ice cream for 8 people. And what is that, like 2 spoonfuls? Was it a huge treat?
Usually I got a quart, didn't I?
Okay.
lot
That
of
still
times.
applies.
For
Same
the
rationale.
whole family.
Yeah, a quart for the whole family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that a big treat?
Yes, it was a big treat. And it was about a mile down to 2 miles. It was 2 miles down to where I used to get the ice cream down at a Foothill Restaurant.
Wow. 2 miles to get a quart of ice cream for the whole family and then 2 miles back.
Yeah,
So 4 miles.
yeah.
And I complain about jumping in the car for 2 minutes to go down the road.
Yeah. Do you remember as a child, you and your siblings being grateful for that treat?
Yes, I think they were pretty grateful
Yeah.
for that little quart of syrup I used to buy.
You think you can come tell my kids how to be grateful?
Life moves at a different pace nowadays, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Everything's so much faster. I think that's good in some ways. It's very convenient and it's very helpful for connecting to people sometimes. But I honestly am just such a big proponent of slowing everything down. And sometimes that's hard to do. That's hard to do nowadays. You have to make a conscious effort to just relax. And back then, you didn't really have the option to go to town every day, to go get ice cream every day, or out to eat once a week.
Right.
What do you mean you had to pay for an ice chest? What is that? Like, what does that mean?
Ice chest was where I kept all my ice cream and all my milk, dairy, beef. I used to butcher a cow and so on about every year, and that was enough for our beef for the year. That was down at the farmer's mill, Lowville Farmers Co-op.
So at the Lowville Farmers Co-op, is it the same co-op as it is today?
It's still there. I don't think they sell as much anymore.
For the lockers?
Yeah.
Okay, so my understanding of the freezer lockers is that you would have to ride or drive into town to keep your food cold at a central refrigerator, kind of.
Right.
Or an ice box.
Yeah, it was a cooler. And I used to rent it every year. Rented a lock.
Was that year round? Like
year round, yeah.
Do you remember how much it cost for a year to do that?
I don't remember. Maybe.
How much does it cost to run a freezer nowadays? Was it pretty cheap?
It's pretty cheap.
Everybody did it, kind of.
Yeah, everybody pretty much rented a spot down at the farmer's mill.
Man, I can't imagine how that goes. The whole town sharing a refrigerator, pretty much.
Yeah,
I've had roommates before, and just even one or two roommates, it's kind of hard to separate the food in the fridge. That's fascinating.
Wow, that is. I've
never heard of that before.
Never have.
No.
Man, there's so much about growing up, and so you were born in what year?
August 29th, 1935 was
when you graced the planet. When you took your first breath.
Yeah.
Can you remember anything else about growing up in the 1930s and 1940s? So you would have been a child during World War II.
Right.
Do you remember anything about World War II?
I do, but don't remember much about it.
Yeah. Would you guys hear about things on the radio, or was it mostly...
Probably radio.
Radio and newspaper?
Yeah, radio, newspaper.
Was that a scary time? Do you remember?
I would say so.
Yeah.
At first it was.
Very uncertain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Especially because news nowadays is pretty accessible. Like, it's pretty easy to kind of get a grasp for what's going on around the world. But back then you'd have to wait for publication of the newspaper. Mostly. You can swivel him around a little bit.
Probably that or the radio.
Okay.
I always had the radio in the barn and into the house,
Well, okay, so 1935. So you would have been in pretty formidable years during World War II. Like, 10 years old? About 10 years old? Imagine that, Nick. How old is Levi?
7.
Okay. So somebody a little bit older than Levi's age remembering what that's like. Because Levi will remember stuff that happens now forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the world was so isolated back then. It feels like the world is a lot more open today.
Yeah.
We can go places quicker. We can read about more. We have more access to knowledge. And we have almost direct feeds to conflicts around the world. That's a big difference.
Big difference.
Did your parents talk about it much?
Some, not an awful lot.
So when you were growing up, what is that the biggest thing? What would be the biggest thing that you remember about your parents?
Or they was with me doing everything.
Yeah. What do you mean by everything?
All the work that went, like with the cows.
They're just very active, very hardworking.
Yeah,
Was your father a farmer as well?
yeah,
So you were a little boy farming from pretty early on.
yeah.
And do you remember like what age he would start having you go out and do stuff by yourself?
I probably went out maybe around 12 years old or so. Went out, worked in the barn, in the house, barn and house. But
Yeah.
So you'd be 12 years old out there doing chores alone with that kind of responsibility as a 12-year-old.
I just helped a lot then.
Okay. Yeah.
But I did a lot of it.
Do you think that back then children were asked to do more than children nowadays? Like put in a little bit more work at a younger age in your time?
I imagine so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think that like children and young adults back then were so much more involved and so much more mature, quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Farms are good for that though, right?
What?
Farms are good for that though, right?
Yeah.
Children working and at an early age. Yep. That's good. Were your parents believers?
Yes, they were.
Mm-hmm.
They were believers before I had gotten a farm even.
Do you have any memories of school? What school was like?
I do, sure. Went right down to 3/4 of a mile was where I went to school. That's where I used to ride the bike, and sometimes I'd ride the buses too.
Did you have good teachers? Was this like a one-room schoolhouse type of deal, or was it bigger?
That was a one-house room for quite a few years.
That's cool. That'd be like stuff you see in like Andy Griffith and yeah. Do you ever watch the Andy Griffith show?
Yeah,
Does that bring back some memories of?
somewhat.
Yeah, somewhat. That's a little bit more advanced, I think. Andy Griffith show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was such a innocence. It feels like back then that's not the same anymore. You know, kids
Right.
played outside a lot more. They were, more respectful, and they were more involved with their parents, and a lot of those core values are something we need to get back to. So did you graduate high school then?
Yes, I did. I was 17, I believe, when I graduated from high school. Then at the Lava Academy in Central School.
Hey, shout out. So you and I graduated from the same high school. Did you know that?
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my mom. So
Yeah, all my children went to same school I went to.
Was Lowville was it new back then, or did you just switch schools?
No, just switched schools.
okay. I wonder we should see when Lowville was established.
So in your one-room schoolhouse, if you were naughty, did they wrap your knuckles with a ruler? Was that a thing?
A little bit, somewhat, not too much, but some.
Never happened to you, right?
Tell the story what you did.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Teacher that was blind.
Yeah, we had a teacher that was kind of blind, and I used to sneak out right out of the school and go and do things instead of staying in the school.
Did she think you were there still the whole time?
Probably.
Took grades and won that year.
Is that the year I took over?
So I knew he had to take.
You had to take the year
You had to
over?
redo it.
I took 1 year over in school, yeah.
And
Probably
still
because you weren't
graduated.
there. And then you should have told them, prove it.
They could hardly prove it because they could hardly be there themselves.
So Lowville Academy and Central School was chartered by the state of New York in 1808.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is old. So yes, I was definitely there before.
That was a very long time ago.
1808.
Before the War of 1812. That's pretty insane. Okay, so you graduated from high school, and then was it just kind of understood you were going to live on the farm, work on the farm, eventually take over the farm?
Guess I always just wanted to do that. And so that's what I got a chance to do after probably, I don't know what year.
When you were in school, were there programs for agriculture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think they still do have that at the school.
What is that called?
Lavo
4-H club?
Academy.
No, I don't know. It's
Lavo Academy
Shucks.
and
Yeah, what's it called?
FFA.
there it is.
FFA.
Look at
That's
that
the one.
memory.
Look at you.
FFA.
And were you in the FFA club?
Yeah, I was.
Man, we're gonna have to pull up some. We'll have to get some pictures and stuff of when Grandpa was in school and overlay those. That would be fun.
What was the 1W work for? Is it because was there something going on?
We didn't believe in going to war.
Was there a war going on at the time? When you were 20, we're talking 1950s. So that'd be the Korean War.
It's before the Korean War, right?
They weren't drafting yet.
Okay.
Okay.
But was it just that some kind of service was mandatory back then, whether there was war or not?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Okay, boy, that's a lot of countries do that. Like a lot of European countries still do that
Yeah.
because for being conscientious objectors to war,
Right.
we're put in jail.
Any military service at all, kind of.
Who?
Benny Rogi's father, he was in jail, wasn't he?
Maybe.
I think so.
Okay, so Benny Rogie's dad was put in jail because he wouldn't go to war. That must have been that. Yeah, we'll fact check that when Benny comes on sometime. Okay, so, but was that a restriction to the draft? Was that maybe perhaps he was drafted and he said no, and then you go to prison? Because if you weren't drafted and you said I'm a conscientious objector, then maybe they just put you into working in hospitals in Syracuse, or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fascinating.
And that was a 2-year thing?
2-year thing, yeah.
Yep. And so, okay, let me nail down the dates here. $1 a day. That's what they used to pay.
Is that what you said I got paid?
What it was, it seemed like it.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
So you had to work 2.5 days to buy a gallon of maple syrup.
We worked 5 days a week.
Okay. And how many hours?
Well, it's the same as it is now.
Just like a 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
But you lived
Shift
there.
work, huh?
You lived in Syracuse, right?
Yes, I did.
That would be a long drive back with the automotive technology.
With your red wagon.
So,
No,
1955.
not then.
Had you met
Oh, you're talking
Grams
about,
yet? Or
Huh?
had you guys met yet? Or were you?
No.
Okay.
She never.
Oh, we'll get there.
She never knew me in school.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we're going to get there soon. Okay, so the Vietnam War started in 1955, which is when you would have been 20, which is when you would have been doing your 1W work. So you're saying that it was,
Sure, the Vietnam, how long did the Vietnam War last?
13,
well, it says 20 years.
20 years. Sorry, I might be thinking of the Korean War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Vietnam War was a conflict in Vietnam and Cambodia from the 1st of November, 1955 to the fall of Saigon on April 30th, 1975. So 20 years.
So that was
I don't know if I knew
right
that
at the beginning.
Vietnam War.
Apparently I didn't either.
That's like the Afghanistan War.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's possible that you were doing your 1W work before the draft for that. Interesting. But that must have been on the horizon. Were you worried about being drafted?
We were could be drafted at that time already. And that's when I quit doing my 1W work and stuff.
So it just kind of worked out that you were finishing up your 1W right before the draft?
Yes.
Okay.
So did you, when you left for your 1W work, was your dad still kind of running the farm
Yes.
back home?
Yeah.
Okay. So you hadn't taken that over yet?
No.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. It looks like maybe the draft was quite a bit later for the Vietnam War, but you had finished up. So that's also post-Korean War.
Uh-huh.
Because the Korean War was, I think, 1950. Fact check me.
Was it? Around 1950 was it the Korean War?
Yep. June 1950 to July 1953. So right after the Korean War, about a year later, or right around then, you would have started your 1W then.
Yeah.
Because you'd have been like 19 or 20.
Well, Cal, my brother, he went first off the farm and worked 1W work. And then I took over after Cal got done doing his 1W work. Then I took 2 years of it.
Was just because he was 2 years older than you? And was there like a certain
just
age that
about
you'd
it.
go and do your 1W work?
Yeah.
Would it be like 18 or 20? Because
I can't just remember that.
yeah, because you said he graduated when he was 16. Grandpa.
18 at least.
High school?
Okay, he was born in 35 and he graduated in 53. How old was he?
18.
Yep.
Okay. So then 2 years, or you said 4 years in between when he graduated and when he did his 1W.
I think actually it was 3 years.
Okay. Wow.
Cal went in the first 2 years, and then Cal came home and watched the farm, and then he went in the 1W.
So Cal did his 1W work while you were at the farm, and then you guys switched. That was probably a pretty normal thing because you have to have the farm running, and you can't take all the boys from the farm.
No.
Different time. Oh.
Okay. And then Cal went to college. Do you remember where he went?
Goshen College.
Indiana?
Yeah.
That explains why. Is he the reason why there's so many family?
His sister Vivian went.
Your sister Vivian was out there too.
Yeah.
No kidding. Because we have a lot of family in Indiana. So I was wondering if that's why.
Jane went there too.
Okay.
My younger sister.
Okay. So you were, how many siblings did you have?
4.
So when you got back from your work in Syracuse, did you went right back to farming?
Right.
And then how long until you took full charge of the farm?
Oh, boy.
Like, how old were you when you're...
24.
Was I 24 when
Oh, wow, pretty quick.
I bought the farm?
Yeah. So 24 years old, but you've been doing it your whole life, so that was nothing for you. 24 years old and running the farm by yourself. That's a lot. But you knew what you were doing. You've been doing it since you were 12, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even earlier than that, following your dad around the farm, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were born soon after the Great Depression. Was the Great Depression in the 20s?
29.
29. So you were born almost right at the end. Great Depression dates. Did you guys have a milkman? Well, you were on a farm, so you probably had your own man. You were the milkman, weren't you?
Yeah.
But back then, did like a milkman go around?
I had people pick my milk up for me.
So like a delivery man?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Great Depression was 29 to 39. So you lived through the last 4 years of the Great Depression.
Yeah, probably.
All right, so you bought the farm, and then you were able to kind of expand to a milking parlor?
Yeah. I was one of the first ones in the area to have a milking parlor.
It must have been 1963. Did that earn you Farmer of the Year?
No.
This was earlier?
67.
Okay. Wow.
His 68. His father died in 67. In 68, we built the milking parlor.
At 68.
So realistically, you're kind of a pioneer for farmers around here.
Yeah. I was one of the first ones to have a milking parlor. maybe at the time there was 2 or 3 others at that time, but I was one of the first ones in the area to have a milking parlor.
And what did that operation look like?
Well, at that time I built a milk house, and then I built on the barn and had a 4-cow milking parlor, and we milked about 40 to 50 cows all the time then.
Just kind of on a cycle, on a recurring cycle.
Two times a day we'd milk the cows.
That's quite an operation. So back then, the alternative would have been you go to the cow with a bucket.
I didn't never have to go to the cow because I started a milking parlor.
Okay, so then you bring the cows to the parlor then.
Yeah.
And was that like mechanical? Was it still done by hand? Were you still milking the cows by hand, or was it with machines?
No, we did it all with milking machines.
Okay, so that's kind of the differentiation between like a normal dairy farm at the time and a milking parlor.
I was one of the first ones.
Instead of walking to the cows when they're in their stalls and milking them by hand, you brought the cows to the machine and could do 4 cows at a time.
Wow. Yeah. But that must have...
Like a platform.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. And that must have boosted production, huh? That must have really got your quantities up.
Imagine so.
Yeah, efficiency. Farming has become it's scalable, right? Your farm became more scalable with the technology upgrade.
Right.
Huh. I can't imagine doing 50 cows by hand.
Now they have a lot of farms are milking 200-300 cows at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Have you seen the carousel ones?
Yeah, I did.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, I never got into it, but I was looking at it quite a lot strong before I went to the milking parlor, which was a 4-stall milking parlor, and that was
Here, Grandpa, let's look at this. I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to have you react to this. Is this exactly what it looked like for you in 67? I'm going to pull it up on the TV so that you can see it.
Okay.
And then I'll have you react to it here in a sec. Just to show you how far technology has come. Look at that. So I wonder how many that holds. 6 options. Look at, they even have like a stanchion rail, and you can walk the cows right into there. That is incredible, huh? I think that's exactly what yours looked like in 1967, right?
Right there. I had a 4-cow milking parlor.
Just the 4.
I milked 4
There
at a
they come.
time. Yeah, that's what.
I wonder how many this does at a time. But you see how the whole thing's moving, and then they just unload them and offload them. You ever seen that before, Nick?
Yeah, I've seen those in person.
Oh, yeah, they have them around here?
Yeah, I went somewhere a few years ago.
Okay, look at that.
Yeah.
Quick attachments. So he just attached a cow in 6 seconds.
Yeah. We'd milk 4 cows at a time, and then we'd let them out and bring in 4 more.
Do you know how long that would take? How long would it take to do 4?
How long do you think it?
I don't know. I mean,
4 in, 4 out.
yeah, it's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so then when you owned the farm, when did you meet Grandma?
Okay, I met Grandma in
59.
Oh, someone's in trouble.
59.
Fact check it.
59.
So 1959. So this is way before you owned the farm. Yes?
Yeah.
No?
Well, he was working.
24 years old.
Right, but he hadn't owned the farm yet.
Oh, they met in
They're
59.
both in trouble.
Oh boy.
Okay, so tell us about this lovely lady over here.
How did you meet her?
How did I meet my wife?
Yeah.
that was quite a job.
Was she somebody that was on your radar?
I was interested in her, but she didn't know me at the time.
Was she dating somebody that you knew or something?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy.
No good.
And how'd you pull the switcheroo?
Huh?
How'd you pull that off?
It was my nephew. That's how I pulled it off.
What is the age difference between you and your nephew? How much older are you than your nephew?
5, 6 years.
5 or 6 years. Okay, so your nephew was dating grandma. Wow, that sounds weird. That's not what I meant. Your nephew was dating Norma, who you were interested in.
Yeah.
And how did you steal her away?
That's a good question.
Just go to your brother or sister and ask him to tell him to stop.
I can't remember too much about that.
Yeah. I think that most people, like generationally now, like nephews and uncles are not close in age. But back then, like it wasn't uncommon for the big families to have uncle nephews that were close, or aunt and niece.
Yeah.
And close in age. Like my dad is best friends with his uncle. Because they're the same age. Because they had how many kids? How many kids in there? My grandpa or my
9,
8 or 9 kids. So if you space those out for 2 years, that's 18 years. It'd be easy to have your youngest be the same as your first child's oldest.
You want to fill in the gaps a little bit? Just where? Like what? Yeah. What?
Well, he brought his nephew down to visit me. And
I had to get into this.
he took us for a ride. We were sitting in the back seat. He took us for a ride, and we went around a corner, and he says, "Opportunity corner." And so anyway, when we got back home, he says to me, "Do you like motorcycles?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I sure do." So the next night, he come down without Carl, with his motorcycle. And that was all but the shouting.
Aw.
That is
Classic.
insane. Okay, so you kind of you played him a little bit.
He helped me.
Yeah, he helped you. I'm sure he would have the same opinion.
What did that motorcycle look like? Wow.
Oh, it was a 19, I don't remember. It was a Harley Davidson.
No kidding.
Dang.
Wow. You're a Harley
Cool.
guy. That's easy to steal away a girl from your nephew then.
Chicks take motorcycles.
So you saw her, noticed her, took your nephew to see her, and then stole her away forever.
I did, thank God. I did. I had a crush before I was able to really meet her and take her out.
That's such a good story. So you told her, "Hey, you like motorcycles?" That's like a classic line.
Yeah, you had no problem telling all these other guys how great she was because you knew you had the motorcycle card in your back pocket.
You could just steal her. So how long did you guys date then?
Okay, 10 days that we were engaged.
Till you were engaged.
Yep, till you were engaged.
And then 3 months we got married.
Okay, so potentially we're talking.
I was getting old. I was 22 at the time.
Yeah, you were getting old to get married.
24.
24. You're. That's not even your prime yet. You're nowadays people are. I don't know how old I was. I was probably 27 when I got married.
Still considered young.
Yeah. 24. That would be
24 is what you're saying. 24 is the new 35, I guess.
Could be.
yeah. So realistically, from the time that you took her on the motorcycle ride to when you got married, we're talking like 4.5 months.
3 months, 10 days. Yeah.
Oh, 3 months and 10 days.
Yeah.
Okay, so Not even 3.5 months from when you took her on the motorcycle ride to when she was your bride.
Yeah, it's quite a long ride waiting to have her get free enough to be able to go with me.
Yeah.
Happened to have a couple, 3 dates before.
Oh.
I was not that popular.
We need to get you a mic, Grandma, and put you up here.
Did you say 3 dates ahead of him?
3 dates, so you had to wait your turn?
Yeah.
Wow, all right, Grandma.
Were you
Roger
nervous? Were you nervous about those 3 dates?
I was.
Oh,
She never even knew me.
So you felt like you didn't even have a shot.
Didn't know her even. How am I going to ask her to marry me?
so 10 days. So fast forward 10 days. You proposed. Had
Yeah.
you talked about it at all, or
No.
out of the blue?
She didn't even know me at all.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, 10 days is not a lot of time to get to know somebody. What were you thinking? Yeah, a different time.
Yeah.
Different time, too. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Worked out,
do you
I'd say.
remember the proposal at all?
Just asked her if she'd marry me, and she said she would.
Did you have a ring or?
Yeah, we went and got a ring together
Okay.
in Syracuse.
Oh. Was that the closest jewelry store?
Took her to a jewelry store.
Yeah.
Wow, Grandpa, high roller.
Oh boy.
See, that's a good move when you only know somebody for 10 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make sure the ring's really nice.
Yeah.
So then, what year did you guys get married?
What year did we get married? 1959. We got married also. That in what year or what time? October we got married.
65 years.
Yeah.
65 years? Do you have any advice for married couples?
Oh. Treat her good. Treat your wife good. She had one thing here. She wasn't going to work in the barn, so she didn't ever work in the barn.
Kind of like
That was a rule.
that was a prenuptial agreement.
That was a rule.
That was a rule, yeah.
Stipulation.
Okay, so let me get this right. So the relayed message is that she gave you 2 conditions to marry her. And the first one was you weren't allowed to drink anymore. No more alcohol. And she wasn't going to work in the barn.
You're right.
So the biggest thing of advice is to be good to her.
Yeah.
You're pretty consistent in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, be kind. Treat the person like they're somebody special because they are. I mean, you must have done something right. 65 years.
I know it.
Can I ask you, do you remember what was something you liked about her when you thought maybe you could ask her to marry you?
Just somebody I met during the school years, and I thought I wanted to marry her,
Sounds like.
but I didn't think I'd ever have a chance to. But it all worked out right.
What made you like her so much?
I guess she was a nice girl, and I thought she was a Christian. Oh yeah, I liked her looks.
Yep. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive to I think a lot of people think that there's a cookie cutter way to do it. Like you have to know them for a certain amount of years. You have to be engaged a certain amount of time. And then that's the only way that it's acceptable to get married. So to see people get married after knowing each other for 3 months, pretty
Right.
remarkable to stay together for 65 plus years and counting.
Were the first years good? Were they good years?
They've all been good years.
Yeah.
Right answer. Right.
Yeah, so there really is no cookie cutter answer. Some people would say, oh, you get married that quick, or, you're setting yourself up for 10 hard years, right? But even that is not always true. If it's 65 good years, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
I can't think of, when I think of your temperament, you're a peacemaker. You're very kind of calm, humble. He doesn't really get upset much, He doesn't get upset much. Well, she's like, mm-mm. So I think when you're both that way, it helps with a lot of issues that you might run into, especially in the early years. They were all good years. That's the right answer.
Did you have children right away, or did you wait a few years?
Pretty soon we had a child.
Yeah. 10 days?
How soon?
What did you say, honey?
We thought we knew everything about birth control. We knew nothing.
You didn't know anything?
The first month.
No kidding. Okay, so now we're getting, this story is getting better. Okay, knew each other for 10 days, proposed, married after 3 months of engagement, pregnant after 1 month of marriage. You guys really take your time with things.
His father lived with us for 8 years.
Who?
His father lived with us for 8 years.
Okay, so then,
We were never alone.
My mom had died before that.
okay,
And then my dad lived with us.
yep, for 8 years.
Yeah.
And
So-
then did he pass then?
Do you remember finding out that you guys were pregnant? Remember what that felt like? Were you pretty happy, or was that?
I think we were pretty happy
Yeah.
right away. But we was only married a few weeks before we got pregnant.
Did it feel overwhelming?
No, I don't think I even felt it as overwhelming.
Just happy?
Just happy and thankful that she was ready to come my way. And she never did milk for me in the barn.
So you kept your promise? You kept the conditions?
I kept the same farm, and yeah.
Wow. What I've been married now for 4 years, a little over 4 years. Only 61 more to go to catch up with you.
Okay.
How would you, if I came to you for advice on life in general and marriage, what would you tell me?
I guess knowing Jesus made a big difference in our life right away.
How important is it to die to yourself and serve somebody
I think
else?
it's very important to die to yourself. And she was willing to be a farmer's wife,
Yep.
but not work on the farm.
Yeah. Yeah.
She helped me a lot during the haying season and like that.
But just wouldn't step foot inside the barn though.
Very little.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. That's some good advice. To when you look at, and we can start to wrap up. I think we've gotten a lot of really good stuff here. When hard times come, what does it take to keep your marriage together?
I would say it made Jesus.
Yeah, really, really trusting God, trusting,
Yeah.
and His promises. Yeah. So you've kind of gone through a lot of stuff in your life, and if your hands could talk, they would have a lot to say.
Right.
You're just a hardworking man. You've done a lot. You've instilled a lot in a lot of people. I'm just kind of fascinated to know how you can get through the hard things in life, and that's not even talking about like the health side that you've been going through. Like you've had some trials in your health in the last 3 years, especially 3 or 4 years, especially with your memory and and a lot of that kind of stuff makes life kind of hard to understand.
Right.
And I think what you said at the beginning about a grateful attitude and a healthy mindset of thankfulness is pretty evident in your life. Your hard work and who you are and your walk with the Lord and your diligence is showing in my life, it's showing in Nick's life, it's showing in our kids' lives, and that's going to be that way for generations.
Right. Thank you.
I really appreciate you a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that people are going to love to hear some perspective on life from you. Open mic anytime you want to come back.
Okay.
Yeah, but thanks so much for being here, and thanks for spending some time with us. I think this quality time is important, and I really enjoyed it. We're going to make this kind of part of our legacy series. We'll have some of our, hopefully all the grandparents on.
That'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be pretty sweet. So you're the first. You're a trailblazer once again.
Okay.
First with your farming and your dairy and now on the podcast. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Gramps. Thanks for being here. Thanks for putting stuff on the permanent record.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Love you. We'll see you.
Love you too.